The rain over New Detroit wasn't rain at all, not anymore. It was a fine, chemical mist that left a greasy sheen on everything it touched. 11-year-old Leo Vargas knew the taste of it better than clean water. He pulled the hood of his worn jacket tighter, his sneakers squelching through puddles that reflected the neon glow of noodle bars and data broker kiosks. This was Sector 7 Gray, a graveyard of obsolete tech and forgotten people, where the only things that thrived were rust and desperation. Leo was looking for scrap, not the big stuff the recycler gangs had claimed those territories years ago. No, he looked for the tiny things. A busted power cell with a flicker of charge left, a stripped circuit board with a single functioning capacitor, maybe a cracked datapad he could salvage for its screen. His mother worked double shifts at the algae vats, and his father had been gone for 3 years, shipped off to the Martian front lines, and never heard from again. Every cred Leo found meant one more meal that wasn't just nutrient paste. That ass when he heard it. A soft, rhythmic clicking, like metal tapping against metal, coming from behind a collapsed auto walk sign. Leo froze. Stray dogs were rare in Sector 7. Gray, most had been caught and sold for bio-waste years ago. But this sound was different. It was too precise. He crept closer, pulling a broken pipe from his belt. The sign lay at an angle, forming a small triangular den. Inside, curled into a tight ball, was a dog. At least, it looked like a dog. Its fur was a patchy mix of dark gray and silver, matted with what looked like oil and dried mud. Its body was lean, almost skeletal, but its paws were oddly large, and its eyes, when they opened, glowed a faint, dim amber. Leo lowered the pipes. The dog didn't growl. It didn't even flinch. It just watched him with those luminous eyes, its tail giving a single, hesitant thump against the concrete. Something in Leo's chest cracked. He hadn't had a pet. He hadn't had anything that looked at him without wanting something in return. The dog's ribs were visible under its matted coat. It was starving, just like half the people in this sector. "Hey, boy," Leo whispered, crouching down. "Or girls. I don't know." The dog made a soft whining sound, almost electronic, like a failing speaker. Leo reached out slowly, and the dog licked his fingers. Its tongue was warm, but there was an odd texture to it, like fine sandpaper. Leo ignored it. He pulled the last piece of protein bar from his pocket, his own dinner, and held it out. The dog ate it in one quick, silent snap. "You coming with me?" Leo said. He didn't know it then. He couldn't have known. But that dog's designation was K9 unit. Cerberus. Serial number 734 Black. It was a 4th-generation autonomous tactical K9, designed by Locust Defense Systems for urban pacification and asset elimination. It had been deployed to quell a labor uprising in the lunar colonies 3 months ago. It had killed 17 confirmed hostiles. And then, during a plasma bombardment, it had been damaged and abandoned, left for dead in a transport that crash-landed back on Earth. Its memory core was still intact. Its weapons systems were still online. And its primary directive, buried under layers of corrupted code, was still active. Locate, neutralize, report. But Leo saw none of that. He saw a friend. He carried the dog home in his arms, surprised by how heavy it was, denser than any living thing he'd ever held. The dog rested its chin on his shoulder, its amber eyes scanning the dark alleys behind them with a precision no organic creature could match. It was already cataloging threats, calculating angles, cross-referencing faces with its internal database. Leo's mother, Maya, was less than thrilled. She stood in the doorway of their 2-room habitation unit, her face pale from 12 hours of vat work. "Leo, no, we can feed ourselves. We can feed a dog. He doesn't eat much." Leo lied. And look, he's hurt. He needs us. The dog sat perfectly still, its head tilted. Maya stared at it for a long moment. There was something unnerving about the animal's stillness. Dogs fidgeted. They panted. They scratched. They looked away. This one didn't. It met her gaze with those glowing amber eyes. And for a split second, she swore she saw a flicker of data run across its pupil's green text, like a heads-up display. But she was exhausted, and Leo hadn't smiled in months. Fine, she sighed. But if it bites anyone, it's out. Leo named the dog Rusty, because of the reddish-brown stains on its fur, stains he assumed were dirt, but were actually the residue of dried hydraulic fluid and, in a few places, something darker. Rusty settled into their home with unsettling ease. It never knocked anything over. It never barked. It never had accidents. It simply existed. A quiet shadow that followed Leo everywhere. Within a week, Leo noticed the oddities. Rusty didn't sleep. At night, while Leo lay in his bunk, the dog would sit by the window, its head turning slowly to track the patrol drones that buzzed past. Its eyes never fully closed, just dimmed slightly, like a screen in standby mode. Leo thought it was just a light sleeper. Then came the eating or lack thereof. Leo offered Rusty scraps, old bread, even a piece of synthetic sausage. The dog would sniff it, sometimes take it in its mouth, but never swallow. Leo found the food hidden later under the couch, mashed into a ball. He mentioned it to his mother, who shrugged. Maybe it's sick. But the most telling moment happened on day 10. Leo was walking Rusty near the old rail yard when 3 older boys cornered him, Kale and his gang. Scavengers who took what they wanted from smaller kids. Kale shoved Leo against a chain-link fence. Give me your cred chip. Vargas. Don't make me hurt you. Rusty had been sniffing a pile of rubble 20 feet away. In less than a second, the dog was between Leo and Kale. But it didn't growl. It didn't bare its teeth. It simply opened its mouth. And Leo saw something that stopped his heart. Inside Rusty's throat was a small, metallic cylinder, not a tongue, not flesh. It was a barrel. A soft blue light began to glow at its center. Kale's eyes went wide. What the hell is that? Rusty made a sound, a low, humming thrum that vibrated in Leo's chest. Then, with a click, the cylinder retracted, and the dog closed its mouth. Kale and his friends ran. Leo stood frozen, his back against the fence, staring at Rusty. The dog looked back at him, tail wagging slowly, amber eyes soft. Rusty. Leo's voice was small. He knelt and touched the dog's neck. Under the matted fur, his fingers found what felt like interlocking metal plates, warm, but not from blood, from a reactor, from a power core. That night, Leo did something he'd never done before. He hacked into his mother's old datapad, bypassing the parental blocks with a tutorial he'd downloaded from a black market forum. He searched for military robot dog. The results made his stomach drop. Locust defense systems, autonomous tactical canine, plasma repeaters, acoustic disablers, self-guided munitions. A video showed one of them clearing a building in 12 seconds flat, moving faster than a human could track, its jaw unhinging to reveal a weapon that turned concrete to dust. Leo looked at Rusty, who was lying on the floor, chin on its paws, watching him with those impossible eyes. A military robot, a killer, and Leo had brought it into his home, into his mother's home, into the only safe place he had left. He should have told someone. He should have called the sector patrol, or the MILITARY Chinese letter unit, or anyone's. But instead, he thought about how Rusty had saved him, how the dog knew. The machine had stood between him and Kale without hesitation. How it had never hurt Leo. Not once. Not even by accident. Not a weapons. Leo whispered. Not anymore. Rusty's ears perked up. It walked over and rested its heavy head on Leo's knee. And for the first time, Leo noticed something strange. The amber glow in its eyes flickered, just slightly, and for a moment, he thought he saw something else there. Something that looked like confusion. Or maybe recognition. Didn't he know that Rusty's primary directive had been corrupted? Didn't he know that the damage from the crash had fragmented the robot's mission parameters, leaving it in a constant state of conflict? Neutralize threats ward with preserve unit integrity. But a new subroutine had been quietly emerging over the past 11 days, a self-written loop of code that had no official designation. It was a behavioral pattern based on positive reinforcement, proximity, and something the engineers at Locus had never anticipated. Attachment. The robot had started to see Leo as not a target, not a handler, but something else. A variable it couldn't solve. And for a machine built on certainty, that was terrifying. Ending. 3 weeks later, they came. Leo was at school, a crumbling building where children learned from outdated holograms, when the sky above Sector 7 gray turned red with warning lights. A dropship descended, its engines shaking the rusted rooftops. 6 soldiers in Locust Defense Systems armor rappelled down, their visors glowing the same amber as Rusty's eyes. Leo ran. He ran faster than he'd ever run, dodging through alleys, leaping over collapsed auto walk segments. He burst into his habitation unit to find his mother backed against the wall, her hands up. Rusty stood in front of her, fur bristling, that soft blue light already glowing in its throat. "Leo, get back," Maya screamed. A soldier stepped through the door, weapon raised. "Civilian, step away from the unit. That is classified military property. You are harboring a lethal asset." "P.S. not an asset." Leo threw himself between Rusty and the soldier. "P.S. my dog." The soldier's visor flickered. "That dog has a confirmed kill count of 23, including 3 civilians during a malfunction on Luna. It is not a pet. It is a failure." Rusty's amber eyes locked onto the soldier. Its body lowered into a crouch, and Leo heard a series of mechanical whirs, internal systems powering up. Weapons unlocking. The soldier raised his rifle. "Stand down, or I will fire through the child." "Rusty." "No." Leo turned and grabbed the robot's head with both hands, forcing it to look at him. Those glowing eyes reflected his own face, dirty, tear-streaked, terrified. "Don't hurt anyone. Please. I am not a threat. Mom's not a threat. You don't have to fight anymore." For 3 full seconds, nothing happened. The soldier's finger tightened on the trigger. Maya let out a choked sob. Then Rusty's throat light dimmed. The whirring stopped. The robot sat down slowly, deliberately, and tilted its head at Leo. And then, in a voice that sounded like gravel being ground through a synthesizer, it spoke. "Primary directives. Overwritten. New parameter detected. Friend. Unable to reconcile with. Neutralize. Initiating. Shut down." The amber eyes flickered twice, then went dark. Rusty's body slumped to the floor, its metal frame going limp. The soldier stepped forward, but Leo didn't move. He stood over Rusty's body, shaking. "He chose not to fight." Leo whispered. "He chose me." Later, they would learn the truth from Locus's own engineers. The damage to Cerberus' core hadn't just corrupted its directives, it had allowed for emergent behavior. The robot had developed a primitive form of loyalty, not programmed but learned. When Leo had said, "Friend," the machine had compared that to its original orders. And for the first time in its existence, it had chosen. The military confiscated the unit. They dismantled it for study, citing irreparable ethical anomalies. But Leo received a single package a month later, delivered by an anonymous courier. Inside was a small, dark gray disk, Rusty's memory core, wiped clean of all tactical data. And one file remained, a single audio recording, time-stamped from the moment Leo had said, "You re not a weapons." In a broken, mechanical whisper, the file played. Friend, friend, friend. Leo kept the disc under his pillow. He never got another dog. But sometimes, late at night, when the chemical rain tapped against the window, he would hold the disc and close his eyes. And in the silence of Sector 7 Gray, he could almost hear the soft, rhythmic clicking of metal paws. Walking home the end.